The pattern, the phenomenon, and the first unexplainable disappearances. Welcome to the Dark History Case. Tonight, we explore a mystery that stretches across the mountains, forests, and national parks of the world. A mystery so vast, so disturbing, and so incomprehensible that even experienced investigators cannot agree on what is really happening. This is the bizarre phenomenon known as Missing 411, a collection of cases where men, women, and children vanish in the wilderness under circumstances that defy logic, explanation, and sometimes even reality itself. Missing 411 is not simply a list of disappearances. It is a pattern, a set of rules that repeats itself across decades, locations, and victims. It is a phenomenon built on thousands of cases documented by retired police detective David Paulides, who noticed something deeply unsettling. These disappearances follow consistent, eerie, and often chilling similarities. To understand how strange these cases are, we need to explore the rules, the patterns, the repeating fingerprints that appear again and again in Missing 411. Pattern 1. Victims who vanish within seconds. Many Missing 411 cases involve people who disappear instantaneously. A child walking behind parents for just a moment. Gone. A hunter separated by a few meters. Gone. A hiker turning a corner on a trail. Gone. No sound, no struggle, no tracks, just absence. Sudden, silent, impossible. Pattern 2. Search dogs refuse to track. One of the strangest and most consistent details. Search and rescue dogs often refuse to follow the scent. They sit down. They become frightened. They act as if the person simply vanished from reality. Veteran handlers swear they've never seen anything like it. Pattern 3. Clothing found folded or removed. In many cases, clothing belonging to the missing person is found, neatly folded, placed on rocks, or arranged deliberately in ways that make no sense. Sometimes shoes are removed in freezing temperatures. Sometimes pants are found inside out. Sometimes clothing appears miles from the disappearance location. Pattern 4. Statistical clusters. Disappearances occur in geographic clusters. Yosemite National Park, the Rocky Mountains, the Great Smoky Mountains, Mount Shasta, Colorado's San Juan, Range Crater Lake, the Adirondacks, Vancouver Island, the Sierra Nevadas. These clusters are not random. They repeat across decades. Pattern 5. Bad weather immediately follows the disappearance. This is another disturbing pattern. Rainstorms, blizzards, or sudden fog often arrive minutes after someone vanishes, destroying tracks, scent trails, and evidence. Search teams often describe it as something fighting against the investigation. Pattern 6. Found in impossible locations. Victims are often discovered miles beyond expected distances, at altitudes they couldn't climb, in areas already thoroughly searched, or in places that defy physical explanation. Children as young as 3 have been found over 10 miles from the disappearance point, at elevations impossible for someone so small to reach. Pattern 7. Time, loss and memory, gaps. Survivors, in the rare cases where someone is found alive, describe missing time, sudden darkness, being carried, waking in a different location, strange figures, or absolutely nothing at all. Their memories simply stop. Pattern 8. Victims with special attributes. The disappearances often involve highly skilled outdoorsmen, extremely intelligent individuals, people with disabilities, or very young children. 2 extremes: the highly capable and the highly vulnerable. Pattern 9. Berries and water. Victims are frequently near berry bushes, streams, rivers, lakes, boulder fields, granite formations. Something about these locations appears repeatedly across cases. With these patterns established, let's step into the forest, into the places where the Missing 411 phenomenon takes on its most chilling form. We begin with one of the earliest, most unsettling cases, a case that set the tone for everything that followed. Case 1. The Vanishing of Dennis Martin, 1969. Great Smoky Mountains, Tennessee. It was Father's Day weekend, 1969. Families gathered at Spence Field, a grassy campsite high in the mountains, surrounded by thick forest. 6-year-old Dennis Martin was playing hide-and-seek with his older brother and friends. He stepped behind a bush to hide and never stepped out again. His father saw everything. He was only a few meters away. No one heard a sound. No one saw movement. No struggle. No cry. Dennis vanished in seconds. Search teams arrived quickly. Hundreds of volunteers, rangers, Green Berets, and FBI agents combed the forest. They found nothing. Not a shoe, not a piece of clothing, not a footprint. Dogs could not track him. Rainstorms struck immediately after he vanished, washing away any evidence. Some reports describe a strange, wild-looking man seen running through the woods after Dennis disappeared. But the sighting was never confirmed. To this day, Dennis's disappearance remains one of the most mysterious cases in national park history. Case 2. The Disappearance of Jaret Atadero, 1999. Colorado's Poudre Canyon. 3-year-old Jaret was hiking with a group near a narrow mountain trail when he briefly ran ahead. Moments later, gone. Search teams spent days combing the area. Helicopters, divers, dogs, hundreds of volunteers. Nothing. Until 2 years later, clothing belonging to Jaret was found over 500 feet higher in elevation than he could physically reach. His jacket was discovered nearly untouched, as if placed there. His shoes looked brand new. Experts said they appeared protected, not worn by rough terrain. The location had already been searched multiple times, yet somehow the clothing appeared years later. To this day, the case defies explanation. Impossible distances, silent forests, and survivors with no memory. The deeper you look into missing 4111, the more unsettling the patterns become. The disappearances are not just mysterious, they often feel impossible. They break the boundaries of endurance, time, and terrain. They leave no tracks, no warnings, and often no sense of how a human being could vanish so completely. And yet, across decades of records, these cases keep happening. To understand the depth of this phenomenon, we now examine two of the most disturbing and frequently referenced cases in the missing 411 archives, cases where the clues seem to defy logic. Case 3. The Mystery of Stephen Kubacki, 1978, Michigan's Great Lakes Triangle. This is one of the strangest survival cases ever recorded. In 1978, 23-year-old college student Stephen Kubacki went skiing near the frozen Lake Michigan shoreline. His tracks were found leading out onto the ice, and then suddenly stopping. No return tracks, no sign of a fall. Just a clean ending, as if he had stepped into thin air. Search teams combed the area for weeks. Footprints, helicopters, dogs, nothing. Stephen was officially declared missing. His family believed he was gone forever. But 15 months later, he woke up. He woke up in a grassy field in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, over 700 miles from where he disappeared. He was wearing strange clothes that didn't belong to him. He carried a backpack full of items he didn't recognize, and he had no memory of the past year. Not one day, not one moment. He said the last thing he remembered was skiing, and then waking up in a field. His own lost time became a prison, a blank void he could never explain. He went on with his life. He became a psychologist. He never again spoke publicly about what happened. To this day, Kubacki's disappearance remains one of the most baffling episodes in missing 411 history. How does a man vanish in snow, leave no tracks, travel 700 miles, and lose a year of memory? There is no answer, only silence. Case 4. The Vanishing of Dior Kunz, 2015. Lamy County, Idaho. 2-year-old Dior was camping with his family in a remote forested area. He was playing only a few feet away from his parents and grandfather. One moment he was visible, and in the next moment, gone. Vanished from a small, open clearing with adults surrounding him. Searchers scoured the area. Rivers, cliffs, brush, trails, dense timber. Hundreds of volunteers searched for days, then weeks. Trained dogs brought in from across the region failed to pick up a single scent. Helicopters flew overhead. Search and rescue teams combed every possible hiding spot. Yet no trace of Dior was ever found. Not a shoe, not a sock, not a shred of clothing. Nothing. Experts said it was impossible for a 2-year-old child to travel far in such terrain. But even if he had, search teams covered every direction. Repeatedly. The disappearance became a storm of theories. Animal attack, abduction, family involvement, accident. But none of those theories matched the lack of physical evidence. No drag marks, no prints, no blood, no sign of struggle. He simply disappeared. The case remains open. The mystery remains raw. And to this day, Dior Kunz Jr. is still missing. The impossible elements. Now that we've seen 4 cases, the patterns become even clearer. People vanish. Instantly. Silently. Without tracks. In areas where tracking is easiest. And often in the presence of family or companions. But the strangest element is how often victims are found, or not found, in places that defy expectation. Some are discovered miles beyond their capabilities. Some climb mountains they physically shouldn't be able to ascend. Some end up in areas already searched dozens of times. Others return with missing time, strange memories, or no memory at all. These are not simple lost hiker stories. They point to something deeper, something hidden, something the natural world alone cannot explain. Survivors with no logical explanation. In rare cases, missing people reappear, but their stories make the mystery even darker. Many report waking up in strange locations. Caves, cliffs, remote valleys, dense brush, miles from where they vanished. Some describe being carried. Some describe seeing figures watching them from the trees. Some say they remember nothing at all. One child survivor said he spent time with a friendly bear who cared for him, a claim impossible, yet repeated in multiple cases by children who vanished and returned. Adults who survived often refused to speak publicly, saying only that something wasn't right, or the forest felt different. Their silence adds shadows to an already dark phenomenon. The strange geography of disappearance. Missing 411 cases often share specific terrain features. Heavy granite, boulder fields, berry patches, water sources, deep forests, sudden drop-offs, invisible ravines. Paulides noticed an unusual connection between granite-rich areas and the highest disappearance clusters. Granite regions are known for magnetic anomalies, confusing compasses, strange radio interference, rapid weather changes. These environmental oddities fuel both scientific and paranormal theories. The search and rescue mystery. One of the most frustrating aspects of missing 411 cases is how search teams report the same strange events repeatedly. Dogs lose the scent instantly. Weather shifts abruptly. Teams feel as if they're being watched. Searchers experience disorientation. Items appear in previously cleared areas. Veteran searchers openly admit some cases make no sense. It's like the person was never there. This is why missing 411 isn't just a list of disappearances. It's a pattern of impossible vanishings repeated across time, geography, and victims. Adults who vanished, bizarre clues, and cases that break reality. Itself, up to this point, we've looked at children, the most vulnerable victims of the missing 411 phenomenon. But what makes this mystery even more disturbing is that highly trained, highly experienced adults also disappear under the same impossible circumstances. These are not careless hikers. These are experts, hunters, trackers, survivalists, military veterans, and wilderness professionals. People who know the terrain, people who don't get lost, people who should have survived, yet somehow they vanish exactly the same way. Case 5. The disappearance of Deanna Cremens, an adult case with strange patterns. Somerville, Massachusetts, 1995. While this case wasn't deep wilderness, it fits multiple missing 411 patterns. 17-year-old Deanna left her boyfriend's house around midnight to walk home, a short walk she had done countless times. But that night, she never arrived. Her body was found days later in an empty lot. No clear signs of struggle, no robbery, no assault. The location had been searched earlier, yet nothing was found until later. Though this case isn't in a national park, investigators noticed missing 411 elements. Sudden disappearance, silent event, location previously searched. No logical suspect. This case shows that missing 411-like events sometimes extend beyond forests into urban mystery. Case 6. The vanishing of Henry McCabe, 2015, Minnesota. This case is one of the most chilling modern disappearances, not because of what was found, but because of a voicemail. Henry McCabe vanished after leaving a nightclub. His last phone message left on his wife's voicemail contained terrified screams, groaning, unrecognizable words, and a disturbing animal-like growl at the end. Experts tried analyzing the audio. They couldn't identify the sound. It wasn't a human. It wasn't an animal. It wasn't mechanical. It had no known origin. Henry's body was found months later in a lake that had already been searched heavily, with sonar and divers. No trauma, no explanation. Another 411 pattern. Body found where it shouldn't be, after the area was already searched. Case 7. The disappearance of Aaron Heeden, 2019. Montana. An experienced hunter with deep wilderness knowledge, Aaron was tracking elk with a friend when he suddenly walked a few meters ahead and vanished. His friend called out. No answer, no rustling, no sign of movement. The forest was silent. Search teams found no tracks, no scent, no broken branches. But the strangest part? Aaron had a GPS tracker, and the device stopped transmitting at the moment he disappeared. Searchers tracked the signals to a small clearing and found nothing. Aaron's body was found days later in an area already searched multiple times, another signature 411 pattern. To this day, the cause of death is unclear. Case 8. Todd Hoffman, the case that shocked search teams, Yosemite National Park. Todd, an experienced outdoorsman, stepped off trail for just a moment. His friends heard a single rustling sound, and then silence. Search and rescue teams described one of the strangest operations they had ever experienced. Dogs refused to track. Storms rolled in instantly, as if timing themselves with the search. Days later, Todd's gear was found scattered lightly across a granite boulder field, neatly placed with no signs of struggle. His body was never recovered. This case remains one of the most unsettling disappearances in Yosemite's history. The case that made global headlines. Stacy Arras, 1981, Yosemite National Park. This case is foundational to Missing 411 because it involves a populated area, multiple witnesses, a short distance, a sudden disappearance, and absolutely no trace. 14-year-old Stacy Arras arrived at Sunrise High Sierra Camp, a popular rest stop for hikers. She stepped away from her group to take photos of a nearby lake, visible from camp. When she didn't return, her father went looking. She was gone. Gone within seconds. Gone within visible range of other people. Gone without leaving a single footprint. Hundreds searched. Helicopters scanned the ground. Nothing was ever found, not even a shoelace. The National Park Service refused to release detailed documents about her disappearance. To this day, even journalists were denied access. Why? No one knows. This case deepened the 411 mystery and raised the question, why are national parks so secretive about certain disappearances? The national park's data problem. David Paulides discovered something alarming while researching these cases. The US National Park Service does not maintain a centralized list of missing people. Each park keeps its own files. There is no unified system, no public database. And when Paulides requested the information, the parks demanded tens of thousands of dollars in administrative fees. Some parks outright refused. Why would missing persons data, which should be public, be so protected? This secrecy fuels speculation, bureaucratic incompetence, lack of accountability, trying to avoid bad press. Something stranger behind the disappearances. Whatever the reason, it only deepens the mystery. The man who walked into the woods on camera and never walked out. One case becomes impossible to ignore. In Canada's wilderness, a man hiking near a remote trail was caught on a security camera walking into the woods. He never came out. Hours passed, days passed. Search teams found no tracks, no scent, no broken branches, nothing. The footage shows him entering the tree line, but there is no footage of him returning. A vanishing caught on film. This case remains unexplained. The mysterious sounds reported by searchers, veteran. Search and rescue teams have reported metallic humming in remote areas, sudden silence where all wildlife stops, echoing voices that sound like the missing person, strange pressure changes, distant calls that aren't human. These reports are not from paranormal investigators. They are from law enforcement and trained search personnel. Something about certain forests feels different. And the closer people look into missing 411, the stranger the stories become. The theories, the government silence, and the dark final truth about the woods. After decades of disappearances, thousands of files, unexplainable cases, and patterns repeating across state lines and generations, the question becomes unavoidable. What is happening in these forests? How can so many people vanish under the same impossible circumstances? To understand missing 4111, we must explore the theories, from the most realistic to the most disturbing. No single theory explains everything, but together they form a picture that is darker than anyone expected. Realistic theory 1. Accident. Terrain traps. Some investigators believe that certain regions contain natural hazards. Sudden drop-offs, hidden ravines, fast rivers, unstable cliffs, animal dens, people fall, people slip, people drown. This explains some disappearances, but not. The clothing folded neatly, bodies found miles away, people without injuries, the absence of tracks, victims found in searched areas, bizarre distances traveled by children. Terrain traps alone cannot explain the patterns. Realistic theory 2. Human predators. Some believe abductions may account for a portion of cases. Human predators can move silently, abduct quickly, leave little evidence, but this fails to explain. Toddlers found miles uphill, adults vanishing within sight of others, packed clothing arranged neatly, victims reappearing in impossible areas, search dogs refusing to track, no signs of struggle, and predators do not cause sudden storms that hinder searches. One of the strongest missing 411 patterns. Realistic theory 3. Wildlife bears, mountain lions, wolves, all dangerous animals. Yet wildlife does not neatly remove clothing, does not leave no blood, does not move bodies miles uphill over boulders, and does not cause electronics to fail. Wildlife accounts for only a tiny fraction. Theories that go beyond normal explanation. Now we move into the theories that investigators rarely say publicly, but quietly discuss among themselves. These theories arise because the evidence demands explanations outside typical logic. Paranormal Theory 1. Portals. Dimensional slips. Some cases involve people vanishing instantly, people reappearing miles away, survivors reporting lost time, memory gaps, sudden silence, strange lights, distortions in perception. These resemble accounts of temporary displacement, sometimes called dimensional slips, missing time phenomena, reality gaps. It sounds unbelievable, yet many missing 411 cases behave as if the person was removed from the physical environment entirely. Paulides himself doesn't endorse paranormal explanations, but the cases raise questions no normal theory can answer. Paranormal Theory 2: The predator that isn't an animal. Native American tribes have spoken for generations about forces in the woods. Entities that lure, spirits that mimic voices, beings that take people without leaving a trace. Searchers repeatedly report hearing the missing person's voice far from the disappearance point, a known indigenous phenomenon called voice mimicry. Some survivors say they felt pulled, followed, or watched by something not human. Many tribes forbid going into certain forests alone. They say, some places are not for us. Missing 411 cases match these beliefs disturbingly well. Paranormal Theory 3: The Stairs in the Woods legend. Though rooted partially in modern folklore, real search and rescue workers have reported perfectly built staircases in deep forest, structures not belonging to any known building, stairs that feel wrong, strange silence around them. While this theory is more internet-based, many missing 411 followers believe these stairs are tied to the phenomenon, markers of places where reality bends. Paulides himself avoids this theory, but some cases align with the idea of places you should never approach. Government-related theories. These theories arise not from speculation, but from the unusual silence of agencies, restricted information, and odd behavior during searches. Military activity. Some missing 411 clusters overlap regions near military ranges, radar testing zones, communications facilities. Symptoms like memory gaps, disorientation, missing time, sudden silence, equipment failure, match reported side effects of military-grade radio frequency testing, but no official admits this. Classified animal species or predators. Some experts believe a rare, intelligent predator might exist, something undocumented, stealthy, and extremely capable. But wildlife biologists say this is unlikely. Predators do not. Fold clothing. Avoid leaving tracks. Relocate bodies after searches. Leave victims uninjured. Cause memory loss. So this theory collapses under evidence. Government knows more than they admit. This theory stems from refusal to release missing person databases, massive fees demanded for information, sealed case files, sudden appearance of military in certain searches, reports of agencies blocking investigation. Even journalists have been denied access to reports. Something is being hidden, but whether it's incompetence, liability feared, or something deeper remains unknown. The most disturbing theory, the forest itself. Some researchers and native elders believe the forest is not just a location, but an active agent, a force, a presence, something ancient, something indifferent, something that takes and sometimes returns. This theory suggests certain areas act like hotspots. Natural energy fields cause anomalies. The land itself disorients perception. Reality behaves differently in specific regions. People who walk into these zones sometimes never come back. This theory is metaphorical for some, literal for others. But the fact remains, certain forest regions produce disappearances at levels that cannot be coincidental. So, what is the truth? Missing 411 is not one phenomenon. It is many layered mysteries converging. Nature, human error, psychological breakdown, predators, environmental anomalies, government secrecy, stories older than recorded history, but together they form a pattern we cannot ignore. Something is happening in these forests, something unexplained, something consistent, something that keeps happening. And until we understand it, the disappearances will continue. The wilderness is beautiful, but beauty has always hidden danger. People walk into forests every day. seeking peace, seeking adventure, seeking escape, not knowing that some never come back. Missing 411 is a reminder that the world is still wild, still ancient, still holding secrets beyond our understanding. Stories of people who vanished without a trace. Stories of searchers who felt watched. Stories of survivors who cannot remember what happened. Stories of clothing folded neatly on rocks. Stories of voices calling from dark woods. Stories of areas that seem to erase people from reality. This is not just a mystery. This is a warning. Because the truth is simple. There are places on Earth where people disappear, and no one can explain why. This is the Dark History Case, and this was Missing 411. People who vanish without a trace.